Leave it to Dana Carvey and David Spade, two alums from Saturday Night Live, to make comedy funny again. They've got a new podcast and they teased out a little clip of them talking about COVID. And I want you to watch it and then reflect on why we aren't seeing this kind of humor anywhere else right now. Here, take a look.
I miss COVID.
I know. Dude, you know what I knew? There was trouble when anyone that came to our country didn't have to get a vaccine. And I go, if you're telling me I can't go to work, but everyone coming in doesn't have to get one, I go,
well, once we found out, when Fauci said, okay, I'm sorry, if you've had 2 boosters and 2 vaccines, you can get and give COVID to another guy who's had 5 vaccines and 4 boosters. What's the difference between a vaccine and a booster? I don't know, just more vaccine, but booster sounds better. Anyway, a guy with 25 vaccines would get and give COVID to another guy with 25 vaccines. That's why I'm introducing the daily COVID shot. Every day you get a shot. By the time you get to your car, you got no immunity, but it's a beautiful 39 seconds.
We need this right now. We've needed this for the last 3 years. It's funny. And by the way, like most humor, it's funny because it's rooted in the truth. So why don't we see this on late night television? Why isn't Jimmy Fallon doing this kind of humor, or Jimmy Kimmel, or Stephen Colbert? Forget that. Why doesn't Saturday Night Live do this? These are Saturday Night Live alums. Saturday Night Live doesn't have this kind of humor. Why? Why? Well, don't ask me. I'm Generation X. These are my guys. I mean, I grew up with these guys and Mike Myers and Dennis Miller and, Phil Harbin when Saturday Night Live was funny. Don't ask me. Ask this guy. It's his fault. Doug Blair, your generation. You brought us this lousy, horrible Saturday Night Live now.
Yeah.
Why aren't you funny?
I don't know. It's a great question because I try every day. I tell myself jokes in the mirror and nobody laughs. So I don't know.
Okay,
I'm working on it.
You are funny, and I laugh at you every time I see you. No. Why doesn't your generation appreciate and, for that matter, demand this kind of humor?
I think that's a really good point because it is sort of the older generation that's coming up and it's sort of making the jokes about Fauci. And, well, by the way, can we acknowledge really quickly how good Dana Carvey's Fauci is? I think it's perfect. It's so on point.
Everything he does is perfect.
Right.
His voices are, it reaches a point, Doug, where when people do an impersonation of former President George Herbert Walker Bush, they're actually doing an impersonation of Dana Carvey doing an impersonation of Bush. And if this Fauci thing catches on, it'll be the same thing.
Exactly. No, I remember when even growing up when I would listen to Church Lady and just think that that was the funniest thing ever. But I think to your larger point here is why my generation isn't laughing at this is because comedy for Gen Z and millennials has become less about laughing and more about clapping and hooting about something that you agree with. So you've watched some of these Netflix specials with like Hannah Gadsby, who is this Australian quote-unquote comedian who literally says things like Pablo Picasso is a racist. Is that really funny? No, but you hear the crowd like laughing and screaming and saying this is wonderful and amazing and she should keep doing this. Or you hear other people on like Saturday Night Live when Kate McKinnon goes out and pretends to be Hillary Clinton. It's not funny, but it's going to support your messaging. So of course you're going to support it. I think Dana Carvey, and to an extent a lot of these older Saturday Night Live people who still actually respect comedy as a concept, they see comedy as making people laugh, which it is.
Thank you. By the way, I've got my own personal aside about Dana Carvey for a moment. He's 68 years old.
Looks good.
He looks amazing. Are you kidding me? I want to look that good when I'm 68, 30 years from now. You make a great point about comedy now being all about the liberals in the audience whooping and cheering because they've got someone on their side. I think it's our friend Stephen Miller from Spectator who calls the Stephen Colbert Show not a comedy show, but group therapy for liberals. That's really what it is. It's just self-affirmation. But isn't there a smart network executive who sees something like this, 50 seconds of brilliance between these two, funnier than anything you're seeing right now? Shouldn't they give these guys a contract right now? They would immediately dominate late night television.
Well, I think the issue, though, is that we've seen that they don't. So, for example, there was an instance where Jon Stewart went on Stephen Colbert's show, and this was when COVID was still, you weren't allowed to talk about the lab leak theory, right? That was verboten. And he says, are we nuts? Like, it's literally in the place where this Wuhan Institute that is studying this virus was, and everybody's sick, and you can see on Colbert's face, he's like, turn it off, cut him off, like, do something, commercial.
Yeah.
That's why you
You're
can't
100%.
do it, because they know that, like, if that happens, their audience is going to eat them alive, or the studio execs are
You and
going to
I
eat them
did the
alive.
exact same content that Dana Carvey and David Spade just did, but we did it seriously on YouTube, it would be censored. It would be deleted.
Agreed.
Let me tell you something. If any network executive is out there listening and you're tired of the lousy ratings you're getting, you sign Dana Carvey, David Spade, Kevin Nealon, Dennis Miller. Give them an hour a night, and it will be through the roof. But you won't, because you don't care about entertainment. That's it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. In the meantime, see you on the radio.